Back before Columbus, the American natives used maize in several dishes and drinks. Most of their cuisine was based on this ingredient. As a matter of fact, they did not eat without tortillas. This brings us to our story. Back in the 60s, as poor people bought a couple of bushels of dried maize. We had to make sure that these kept in a dry place to avoid fungi or critters getting to it. Every night, we would scoop up a half a bucket and boiled it in lime. This breaks it down, so it becomes more eatable, much easier to digest, and it helps release its nutrients. Mom would get up around 4 a.m. and start milling the grain on the stone, adding water and salt as needed until she created a smooth paste. Very laborious work. She would have a fire going by then. We used dried corn chunks as kindling and dried corn cobs as firewood. On the adobe fire pit, we had an old lid off a metal barrel. The lid was treated with a bone. Yes, the bone, usually cow, would be boiled and dried until it became white as snow and brittle. Then you would basically use it as chalk and cover the complete surface of the lid. Talk about your Teflon. This was much better. You could cover the whole lid with less than an inch of bone. All you would have to do is give it a touch up occasionally. All this just to make the tortillas for the day. Around 2 kilos to cover all the meals and Dad's lunch. I remembered when the old milling store reopened. It was the talk of the town. Mom remembered when it had first opened and when it had sadly closed. Now that it had reopened, Mom won't have to get up so early every day, less work. Well, it did not work out as she thought it would. Dad did not like the idea of eating machine-made tortillas. They just don't taste the same, he would argue. Yours taste much better, he would claim. They finally came to a compromise. We would take the maize to the mill would take care of the grinding, and Mom would do the rest at home. I hate to say it, but Dad is correct. Nothing tastes better than a nice hot tortilla right off the grill. Guess who was volunteered to take the grain to the mill? Me. I had to get up and walk to the mill at 4 a.m. every day. It was just 6 blocks away. Long blocks. Long dark blocks. There were houses on the other side of the street and fields of sugarcane on my side. I was not allowed to walk on the sidewalk where the houses were. Dad said that some crazy man or woman might open a door and pull me into the depth of their home, and I would be lost forever. I had to walk on my side of the street where the sugarcane was growing. There were street lamps with what seemed a 60-watt bulb at the beginning of each block. It did not lit anything. It gave the street an eerie glow more than what it helped. I ran from street lamp to street lamp. I could swear to this day that could see more than a pair of eyes peering from between the sugarcane stalks. I felt that at any moment a skinny gray hand would stretch out and pull me into the sugarcane field, not to be seen again. As I sprinted from street lamp to street lamp, my feet felt like cement blocks and the hair at the back of my neck would stiffen up like a porcupine. I felt a little relief standing under the street light and would start to relax until I thought, me alone surrounded by darkness. I stuck out like a sore thumb. Forget it. I would start running again to the next lamp. I would finally get to the mill and waited in line. There were about 10 to 15 housewives and kids like me waiting to be served. It usually take 15 to 20 minutes to add my order. This got to be a daily routine for me. I would do it a lot faster. I would sometimes let my guard down and stop too long under the street lamp. I would suddenly notice and panic would try to overtake me. I wouldn't let it. I just leapt to the next lamp and continued. Most of the people knew me and they would chit-chat or sometimes even accompany me to my house. This was welcomed. No monsters would ever get me if I was with someone. In a small town, most of us knew each other, either by family, as by sight, school or gossip. We basically respected or tolerated one another. Everyone at the mill knew me and my parents. If I ever did something bad, I assure you, it would get back to my parents, before I got home. They would always say she's so-and-so's daughter. And she lives in so-and-so's home. Yet there was one lady that worked at the local bar. It was rumored that she had been paged through more times than the magazines at Dr. Lopez's dentist office. She would always cut in line in front of me at the mill, taking advantage that I was a kid. I didn't tell Mom, but I finally got tired of her bullying. I wasn't going to let her push me around anymore. I got up at 3:30 a.m. the next morning determined to stand my ground. I was 14. My mom got married at 14. I felt like a grown woman. Kinda. I walked out of the house, determined to do my thing. Today I'll become a full-grown woman, I thought. Maybe. I felt a trembling sensation in my stomach. I felt the cold breeze tickling my face. It seemed more chilly than normal and a little more dark than usual. Is that possible? I don't think it can. Steps. Stop. More steps. Did I hear steps? I hurried to the first street lamp, and so did the steps. I didn't want to stop in the shadows. I stopped right under the lamp. I was terrified. It was so quiet I could hear the humming of the electricity running through the bulb. I must turn around. I must turn around. Courage. I need courage. Frozen with fear, I could only move my eyes. The next street lamp seemed so far away. Could I make it without something reaching out from the dark and grabbing me? Would it pull me into the dark bowels of the earth and devour me? I don't know how, but my body started to run forward on its own accord. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost. My toe just caught the edge of the curb and sent me sprawling to the ground, scraping my leg. I turned back to rub my sore ankle when I saw the figure. It seemed like a young man in a white uniform. Maybe a baker or a sailor. Couldn't really tell. I felt more pain from the fall than fear. He was standing at the edge of the streetlight that I had been just a few minutes before. I could clearly see his uniform, but his face remained in the shadows, just out of reach of the lamp. "Hello," I said. "Can you help me get up?" I continued. Nothing. He did not move. I got my bearings and my mind was telling me that something was not right. Was able to get to my feet. I started to limp as fast as I could to the next lamp. I managed to get a glimpse of the man through the corner of my eye. I think he was getting closer. I finally got to the next lamp and turned around. Again he was at the light that I had been just a few moments ago. Yet again his face remained in the shadows. Who is he? Is he following me? Why is he following me? I must get to the mill. There are people there that might discourage him from following me. I advanced. He advanced. I could hear his steps echoing through the darkness. They bounced off the sugarcane, causing a resounding sound that moved through my body. I must not scream. I must not show fear. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was advancing faster than I. At any moment he would grab at my shoulder and overtake me. I must continue. I must not stop. As I quickly advanced to the next lamp, I keep looking back trying to. Oh no. Oh no. He started to float and fly towards me at an incredible speed, closing the gap between us within seconds. Yet time seems to stand still. I closed my eyes as I fell to the ground. I felt his hand on my shoulder. Cold, long, bony fingers. I tried to scream as he turns me around to face him. I was gasping for air and fighting for a scream when I heard "Honey, honey, it's me." I had been hypnotized by the terror. I blinked feverishly as I tried to clear my vision. It was my mom. She looked as worried as I was frightened. When she got up, she noticed I was gone. It was too early to go to the mill. She had planned to accompany me. She rushed after me. She had heard that this lady was pushing me around in the line and she had come to defend me. Thank God for small town gossip. We walked together to the mill. There was no one following us. I was not a grown woman yet. I was just a kid. A kid that needed her mom. Even though I matured that night, I decided to stay a kid as long as I could. Later that week, we found out that a sailor had been killed at the local bar because he had got involved with the woman that had been bullying me. It turns out that her ex had been released from prison and he had found her with the sailor. He proceeded to take vengeance and grabbed a machete and cut his head clean off. I never told Mom about what I had seen that night. I believe that it was the sailor following me. I couldn't see his face because he no longer had his head. Was he following me to protect me, or hurt me? I suspect neither. I think he was just a lost soul. I never returned to the mill.